Hey, welcome back to the J&Z podcast. This is episode 5.
Ooh, 5.
Episode 5.
And it's a new one. We're not going back old school. We're going now school.
Yeah, we're living in 2022, which is scary to say because that year still sounds made up.
Oh yeah, no. This when I see 222, I'm just like, where's the flying cars?
Well, it reminds me of like Blade 2049. Like,
oh yeah, no.
That's what it feels like.
I wish. But speaking of Blade.
I
was thinking Blade Runner. But speaking of Blade Runner, we watched
Batman.
We did, and the new Batman.
Not the new Batman that came out 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's a really good point. That freaks me out. But
the new Batman,
right,
with Robert Pattinson. Now, it's very important that we say this because, as you can guess, as a part of a movie review, we're gonna ruin the movie.
Spoilers. So, if you haven't seen it, please don't watch this video
or do this. Pause it. Run to a movie theater as fast as you can and scream, "I need to watch the J&Z podcast." Then watch the movie, come home, watch the podcast, and then take it from there.
Exactly. And take my advice, pee before you go and see it. Because for my birthday, we went somewhere and a friend of ours was like, "Hey, seriously? Pee before you go in there."
I'm pretty sure he asked us if we could put in a catheter. His first request.
Exactly. They should just hand you catheters. Be like, "Here you go." It's about 3 hours long.
It's 3 hours long.
Yeah, it's 3 hours long. About 20 minutes in, I had to pee. 20 minutes in.
He didn't get to pee.
No, I didn't. I held it in. Like, my kidneys were shriveling as we speak. Because it's...
I wish I would have known that, because I would have looked at you with the soda and went, "Hey, Mikey."
Yeah, you would just slosh it around or just go... Just to make me uncomfortable. So, with this movie, we're going to talk about things that we like, things that we love.
Yeah.
We're going to hop around because if we were to go beat by beat, we'd be here for 5 hours.
Yeah. Nobody wants that.
No, nobody wants that. We'd get tired of talking and we'd be on our phones and you'd be bored. So,
exactly.
So, we're gonna hop around on this one.
Yeah. The other thing too that I think is important to call out is just our general opinion of the movie. I think it's important for us to start there. For me, and we'll do it on a scale of 1 to 10, and the way that I like to do scales is to think about, like, what is a 10 in my mind, which is different for everybody. So for me, 10 is definitely going to be Batman Forever. Batman. I'm just kidding.
I gotta be honest, some part of me got excited. Like, I was like,
what is the reason?
Yeah, it was like, I actually really like that movie. You saying it's a 10 really opens my heart so I can finally talk about. There's something that both of those movies have in common.
They suck.
I hate you. It's the Riddler. The Riddler's in both of those movies.
I hate that I keep tangenting in all of our podcasts.
Connecting.
But when I saw...
Get connected for free. Education connection.
When I saw the Riddler in this movie, who was really creepy, my first thought was, that is not Jim Carrey.
Batman, you say?
No. That's a good way to start. Because... the movie starts where it looks like binoculars and there's this kid playing with his dad and he's pretending to stab him with a sword. You hear this heavy breathing and you told me, you were like, "Oh, at first I thought it was Batman."
Yeah. And so before we get into the first scene, let's kind of talk about our general 10. Out of 10. Yeah. So for me, a 10 would be The Dark Knight. It's just my favorite movie. Christian Bale was the Batman I really liked.
It was our previous episode also. Please do go and check that out.
Yeah. And I think that really for me, when I think about what's a good Batman movie is generally, is it just a good action movie, right? Like, you don't have to have any connection to the brand or anything like that. It's just a genuinely good action movie. And then you kind of, from there, for me, I base it off of the actor. So how do they act as Batman? And then how do they act as Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, that's a hard one because sometimes, we talked about this on the car ride back. It was someone can be a really good Bruce Wayne.
Right.
But when it comes to Batman, that could be the part that they have a hard time with.
Right, exactly. And so for me, The Dark Knight was as good as it probably got for me with the two Bruce Wayne and Batman being really good. I thought Christian Bale did a great job as Bruce Wayne, being this kind of ritzy asshole to everyone around him, but also then being a really good Batman. So for me, on this movie, I'd honestly probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. So with a rating like that, I would absolutely recommend to go see it. I think there's going to be parts about it that people won't like, but I don't think it's controversial.
No,
I don't think anyone's going to go like, really?
Seriously?
What the
7.5? Really? You can't round it up?
Yeah, I'm not.
I came here, they have like Batman tattoos on their face. They're like, I came here to be respected and find my community.
Yeah.
You're wearing a Batman t-shirt.
They stand and just go, spit at the screen.
They just, they try to deactivate our account.
They clicked on there immediately on Twitter. Just
the entire time they're just breathing like that.
I don't think it's like to any extent that bad. There's definitely parts that are different, but it's the same thing that I said in some of the previous podcasts where I've talked about Batman. You can't go into it wanting a Christian Bale, wanting a Michael Keaton.
No.
Like, you have to give Robert Pattinson a chance. And you brought up a great point in the Dark Knight podcast that people were shitting all over Heath Ledger.
Oh, 100%.
Because he just got done filming Brokeback Mountain.
Yes.
And so people were like, yeah.
Oh, this guy's gonna ruin it.
And then people watch it and they're like, see, like I told you, he was going to be perfect. He was going to be perfect. He was not.
They're like deleting all their comments. Like they're pushing all of their comments. They're like, don't look over here, okay?
Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
Don't pay attention to that. Look right here.
I didn't say anything bad about Heath Ledger. Just burn it.
Yeah.
I have a question for you about the Dark Knight and all of that. Do you think the Batman you grew up with also influences that?
Yeah, that's a pretty
if you're watching this and you were born in the 1980s, do you think because Michael Keaton was the first Batman movie that you saw that automatically flavors it as your favorite?
Yeah, that's a kind of a pretty consistent opinion I have. Is I feel like as you grow up, you maybe fetishize isn't the right word, but
please don't Google fetishization and Batman.
Yeah. Not a great combination.
Turn off your safety.
Yeah. Go into incognito mode. But I absolutely agree. I think that there's some... Because what you're dealing with is... Yes, it's also a good movie, but then you have this power of nostalgia.
Right.
That's just like heroin. Like it's just...
Coding it.
Yeah. It's like when you play an old video game or watch an old movie and you're like, wow, that's not as good as I remember.
Right. It's like the symbiote from Venom. It just gets in your veins and it's just like, we are nostalgia.
Yeah, that's what it's like. But I agree. Yes, I think that usually people... And you can even do it with like James Bond, Batman, Superman. Like typically who you grew up with is going to be... like kind of your flavor of the month, I would say.
No, I'd completely agree with that. So,
because your favorite Batman is Adam West, right?
Yeah, because I'm that old.
Yeah,
I saw Adam West, and I'm like, that's my favorite because he's silly, and when he punches people, it goes bang, boom, bang.
Because you're 900.
I'm 900 years old, and I've been watching since birth.
Yeah.
No, that was something that I would give this movie like. I'd give it an 8.
Okay, yeah.
But that's part of the reason is because the entire movie I was watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, so this is an homage to Blade Runner, and it's looking like David Fincher in his Seven movie, and it's just, that was what was going through my head. I was like, I'm really liking this, but guys like Blade Runner, guys like the shadows and the boom, boom, boom on the music, guys like Blade Runner and David Fincher, and this is like the Zodiac.
So let me translate. So basically, when you watch a comic book-esque movie that you watched a lot as a kid, the kid inside of you is screaming and having a great time, but the adult on the outside, so I had a similar experience because there's a scene in the movie where he escapes using a grapple gun.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
And it was like my body convulged for a second because I went, yes! Like that, and I went, oh. And then you just kind of like, oh, yeah.
I was sitting next to him. I saw that. It was just like, inside you were doing that, but I just saw your fist like pump like this. You were just like, yes. But I just saw inside. You're like, let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
We'll cut for a clip here.
No, it was like a football game. Yeah. If you're listening to this, I did take my shirt off and I just started waving it around. But as we were talking about Batman, I had a similar feeling, and that feeling was the detective work.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's something that a lot of people... So this is interesting, because I feel like there's two sides to people that go see a Batman movie, right? You have people that are just like, it's the hype, it's an action movie, maybe there's like a cool actor in it, like Robert Pattinson, that I just want to go see it. But then you have like the people that are like, I know Batman.
Right.
I know what he's supposed to be. I've read the comic books every page since 1789. I haven't missed anything.
It's tattooed in my blood,
right? Exactly.
And in my skin,
and so it's really hard to appeal to both audiences, right? Because I know some people are going to roast me in the comments and try and find me and hurt me. The comic books, like, from a media perspective, some comic books suck. Like, they're not great.
It's true.
And I don't think that's a controversial opinion.
No,
I feel like people know that. Yeah.
It shouldn't be. If it's controversial to you, please go outside and touch grass.
Like, it's one of those things where it's like when you do a live action, you have to try and appeal to both audiences.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
To your point, the detective stuff, at least I would imagine, it appealed to more of the comic book-esque people that were like, yes, this is the Batman that I
That's the hard, like, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that's the hard thing with a lot of stuff, like The Walking Dead, Batman, comic books, anything like that, is you really want to cater to your fan base, but also it's one of those things where it's like you said, some comic book issues fucking suck.
Yeah.
So, but when you find something that's really good, like this movie, there's a lot of homages to Year One Batman.
I don't know what that word means.
The Long Halloween, just a whole bunch of other Batman comics that I think that a lot of people that are comic book readers will really appreciate.
I agree. And I think to really start to get into the movie is what I like about it. So I'm much more of a DC guy than Marvel, which is really hard to say in 2022. It's it's like you have special groups that you meet.
Jared, what's that red dot on your forehead?
Yeah, you can only go out at night, you pass notes, you don't talk about it in public.
No.
But yes, I'm much more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan because it's just darker, kind of, and I really like that because it just a better job to me of like really captivating me in a movie. And this
is the perfect movie for that.
Right. Yeah, this movie, like if you were to compare it to The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises, it's really, really dark. Like not even just from like a symbolist
standpoint,
like literal lighting.
Oh yeah,
the movie's dark.
There's not a ton of light, and that's actually something that I really loved about this movie. Was in the beginning with the narration of Robert Pattinson. There's barely any light. Like there's someone dressed up like an ice drop, just like kind of like some ice cream, and he's like looking in the shadows. And it's just, there's not a whole lot of sun in it. And that's something that I really liked, though, because it was very, like, if you've seen the movie Seven by David Fincher, it's always rainy, it's always dark. Like, there's basically no happiness. Like, if happiness was a person, it got dragged out in the streets and shot in the head. Yeah.
And the thing, too, and I'll bring up a couple of these throughout that I just wasn't really crazy about because it was, to me, and I hate to use this word, a little cringy or it just wasn't great, so yes, it's depicted as really dark and black and like not any light. And so you learn that Robert Pattinson's Batman just spends a lot of time out at night. Like he never goes out in the day. And so the few scenes that he goes out in the day, he's like, the sun.
I love it.
And I'm like, okay, fucking buy a pair of Ray-Bans, you have $1 billion, you can wear sunglasses. Like, if you can make a Batmobile, which we'll talk about, out of like a fucking jet engine, you can put on some glasses.
There was a couple scenes where like when Alfred's like, hey, I got you some berries. How about you come out in the light? He sees the light and he's like, oh, my sunglasses. I was up all night listening to My Chemical Romance. I'm waiting for the reunion though. When we were young, reunion in October, I got front row tickets.
Yeah.
If anyone touches me, I'm going to kick their ass.
And so let's kind of dive into some of our parts, because for me, the scene in the opening reminded me of another movie in my favorite of another series. So in one of the opening scenes, it shows this gang of people that's about to just beat up this random old guy for no reason, because hashtag Gotham City.
Yeah, right.
And so they like get off the train, really dark, creepy, and it's going through all these like criminals, like doing something illegal.
And it's Halloween.
Right, also creepy. But all of the criminals stop and they look up and they see the bat signal and then they go shit themselves and stop doing what they're doing. But the gang, they look at the bat signal and they're like, oh, Batman.
Whatever, bring it, bro.
Yeah, and so the scene is you just see the camera like pans down really good like IMAX shot of like just a dark alleyway. And what it reminded me of, I didn't tell you this, is in Rogue One, where all the like rebel troops are like getting ready because Darth Vader just boarded the ship and they have all their guns out and it just black. Yeah, but you just hear him breathing. You just hear right. But then you see his lightsaber turn on. It's like someone's gonna die. So that's what it was like. Because you just see, and Robert Pattinson is narrating, but you just see him walk out in the shadows, and it's just funny because the gang's reaction. It's like, you know, this might connect for some people, but it's like there's that big tough guy, but then there's something that actually scares him, like a snake or a spider or something, and it's a big tough guy. And then it's like you just see his eyes, and it's like.
It's like Dad came home early. It's just like, why is it the meat out of the freezer?
That's what it was like for like that. For me, they did those extras did a great job of selling that fear.
One thing that I love is that one of the, because I'm assuming it's the Joker, like one of the Joker's gang or amateur gang, whatever. He only has makeup on one side of his face, like he's half in, half out,
like he's being initiated.
Like he's being initiated. Everyone else has a full face, and even them, they're like, it's dark and all. It's like the scene in Jurassic Park when the kids hear the boom, boom of the water, and they know the T-Rex is coming. The gang was just like, do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Like, and especially one of them being like, what the hell are you supposed to be? It's like, this guy's going to put you in he's going to break your bones. This is a different type of Batman. Like,
he's much younger. He's a much younger Batman.
And something that's really quick, that's interesting, is the bat signal in the new movie. It's like shattered. Like, it's not professional.
Well, so I think they do that because he pulls it off.
Oh, yeah.
During some parts and uses it as like a weapon. But yeah, he's a younger Batman. And I really like it because it's like, if you think of him as like being Batman having a career, like he's a little bit unprofessional right now is the way you can think about it, because when he fights people, like in, let's say, The Dark Knight, I'll use that movie as a reference, he kind of like punches someone, knocks him out, leaves him there.
Yeah.
Or like hits him with like a pipe or something and leaves him on the ground. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, in that first fight scene, he like fights people, beats them up, but like for me, it like caught me off guard because he punches the guy in the face, he falls on the ground, and then he doesn't stop. He punches him in the face in the ground like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like,
his face is mush. Like, it should just show it just like caved in.
Well, because it's like it was so like great. It was a great shot because you see, like, I don't know if you noticed, but like there's blood splats on his cowl, like from and it's like, okay,
he just killed someone. Like there should be like Bruce Buffer from UFC going, "It is all over." Like someone needed to run in and be like, "No, he's dead. You just killed him."
Dean, you need to call the fight.
Yeah, someone needs to call this fight because he's dead. Like even when the gang runs off, the one civilian is like, "Please don't hurt me. I just saw what you did to him. Like you just murdered him. You murked him."
Yeah. So I think it might be good for us to kind of go back and forth in terms of things we like and don't like.
Yeah.
So, like we kind of mentioned before, the movie is really, really long.
It's too long.
Yeah. And it's kind of the same problem that I think we both had with Batman versus Superman is there's just too much going on. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like you can compare it to any movie, but it's like you have major conflict right here and then little kind of baby conflicts all throughout. And it's like, this is the problem. Like, the Riddler's gonna blow up Gotham. Like, who fucking cares about all this stuff? Like,
we shouldn't.
We need to solve this problem. And so, it just had, I think, too many villains. Yep. Like, there was just too much extra stuff thrown into it, which took away from it being, like, a phenomenal movie.
Right.
It's still good, but it took away from a lot of that.
It made me think that Matt Reeves was in the writer's room, and he went, all right, guys, don't know if we're gonna get greenlit for a sequel, so shove it all in. Shove it the fuck in.
Doc, that's way too much.
But yeah, I think there was too many villains in the movie. There was too much going on. It basically pulled away from the like drama and why you were watching the movie. It was a lot to follow. Like my mushy think tank doesn't work very good when it's like there's Catwoman, there's Commissioner Gordon, there's Penguin, there's the mob guy, there's Riddler, there's the joke. Like
there was a lot.
By the end of the movie, it's like, did I see Superman?
Yeah,
Superman
you kind of get exhausted because it's just like There, just like what he said, there is quite a bit of it. I think that they really should have, because Catwoman's never been a villain. Not particularly. So I kind of wish that the focus was mainly on the Riddler as well as Oswald Cobblepot.
So I think they had a good amount of focus on the Riddler, but there was a stint towards the end of the movie where you didn't see him a lot, and it was weirdly really similar to The Dark Knight, where if you remember, the Joker gets arrested and then he gets put in jail, and he's like, "I just want my phone call."
Oh wow!
I just want my phone call.
That's a good correlation.
Yeah, and then he blows up the prison, and he's out in like the next scene, basically, but. The Riddler, it's literally almost the same thing. He gets caught, wanted to get caught, and then blows up like the seawall, apparently.
Yeah, and then floods the entire city. That's a really good point, though. And I mean, obviously, the interrogation scene isn't as powerful as The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
it's
weird.
It was a little creepy to me because he starts singing Ave Maria because he's like, yeah, it's Bruce Wayne, and I was like, oh fuck, does he know that he's Bruce Wayne? But then he's like, he's not as crazy as we are. And Batman's like, oh, thank God. Oh, my God.
The Riddler, he thought the Riddler knew that he was Bruce Wayne. Honestly, I don't know if you agree with me, and this might be a hot take. That was my least favorite scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was also, I could see someone being like, it's really cringeworthy, because he does kind of go over the top where he's like, no, and then he just starts singing Ave Maria.
So for me, I don't think it was overacting. I think that was good. Having him sing Ave Maria was weird, because it wasn't like, okay, so if they painted the picture this way, right? Like, let's say the Riddler does something weird. He's like, solve this Rubik's Cube or I steal your kid, or something like that. Or steal your soul. Yeah, exactly. And then he sings Ave Maria as he does that.
Yeah.
Or sings it at some other point in the movie. I'm sorry, I'm talking really loud.
No.
I'm getting mad.
No, I get it. Trust me. I'm hyped too.
And it's like, if he were to have done that at other points in the film, wouldn't be weird. But it's like, the only time you heard Ave Maria was played in the soundtrack behind the movie. And so it's like, for me, it broke that wall of like, why are you... No, don't sing that. This is... Seriously. Oh, fuck, it's a movie.
Exactly. One thing that was funny that I almost laughed in theaters that wasn't supposed to be funny is Commissioner Gordon and Batman go inside the old Wayne orphanage, and they hear Ave Maria, and they see it on the wall, and they're trying to figure everything out. Well, Batman disappears right after they just walked into a bunch of junkies that were like sharpening knives.
So they were drop addicts.
Yeah, they were drop addicts. So you just left Commissioner Gordon in an empty orphanage with drop addicts. I would be like, dude, you're my fucking ride home.
Yeah.
And you fucking just left me? Like, because he's using a flashlight, and I would have been like, seriously?
Yeah.
Really? Like, I would just start yelling.
I think, there's some weird things in the film, but something else to kind of go back to what I really liked about it, which is, it's funny, I was looking at a lot of stuff on like Reddit and Twitter and things like that. People really didn't like the Batmobile.
The Batmobile was sick, man.
I thought it was really cool.
Especially seeing it in IMAX where the Penguin is standing there and you just hear the vroom, vroom.
In the blue light.
Oh, yeah, because I looked over at you and I started elbowing you because I was like, dude, it's a muscle car.
I see it.
Exactly. Like, I almost expected Vin Diesel to peel out and be like, this is for family.
Yeah. It was definitely a different take. For me, it's like, okay, if you think about the Batmobile in the end of The Dark Knight Rises, it's like it's a helicopter, submarine, tank, Corvette. It's like...
It's a Swiss Army knife.
I'm just waiting for the Batmobile to drive off and go...
I'm a Decepticon.
Like, that's literally what I'm picturing. It's like, for me, I was like...
It's too much.
Yeah, there's a term that's used in a lot of gaming. It's called power creep, where it's like it gets too strong. And then it's like, how does that fit in the Batman universe, where it's like, oh yeah, so my Batmobile has missiles, machine guns, X-ray vision, it can brainwash people, it can play the radio,
it has go invisible.
It has 3 months of XM radio for free.
That's the craziest thing about it.
Yeah, that's the one feature I needed. But for me it was like, because at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, it has fucking autopilot in a helicopter mode where he flies out over the bay. Like,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, too much. It was too much for me. And so in this movie, it looks like Robert Pattinson gave like an 18-year-old kid a wrench and 10 grand and was like, go on Facebook Marketplace, find a really shitty old car, and then you see that jet engine right there, put it in it and call me.
Also, find a shady guy with a muscle car, and
Yeah.
we're gonna soup this bitch up.
Exactly. It's like he just took I think it was like kind of a Corvette-esque. I'm not a huge car guy, so don't roast me.
Yeah.
But it was just like a sports car that they just dropped like a jet engine into. But it was cool. It was cool, I thought.
I kind of wish it was like Exhibit's Pimp My Ride, where he's like, yo, man, you got fucking flamethrowers on this shit.
Yeah. Batman's like, this is dope, but like, where's the subwoofer?
Yeah, exactly. It's in the trunk.
But I thought it was cool. I could get why people didn't like it because it wasn't like a typical Batmobile. Like, it didn't have any insignias on it. Like,
No,
it was
but that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, I liked it because it was different. And I feel like it kind of just goes back to, like, if you go to the movie and you're like, okay, it needs to be a tank that can turn into a motorcycle that also has heat-seeking missiles on it. And if it's not it, I'm getting on Reddit immediately.
I also need to see that it's XM radio. Like,
Exactly.
if that's not there, I'm walking out and asking for a refund.
Yeah, so that's kind of my take on the Batmobile. I thought it was really cool.
I did too.
The other thing I want to talk about, and I know you have a couple points on this too you want to hit on, is the use of social media in this movie actually really scared me because, again, it's where I kind of disengage for a second, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, please don't do that.
Yeah, right.
Because the Riddler essentially uses social media to get like a cult following of people to do crimes for him. So
And it's creepy because he's putting saw traps on people's heads.
yeah, like picture if Charles Manson was like, follow me on TikTok so we can do it. Like, it's terrifying.
Patreon.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I want you to be in my church, but before we talk about that, this is an ad for Raid Shadow Legends.
You know, sometimes I get hungry when I plan out killing everyone in the Hollywood Hills, so I get HelloFresh.
Exactly. I wouldn't be a sociopath like I am without Manscaped. It was literally...
Use hashtag Manson family.
Yeah. Because it was like, it was very clearly the background of like a TikTok page, at least
Yep.
or an Instagram live, or
Yeah, all
that's what
the
it-
hearts were going up when he's just
Yeah,
like...
that's what it looked like when the Riddler was like talking to his quote unquote audience. And for me, it's just like, it's really scary that they did that. Like, I wonder if there was any like people they had to talk to or like,
Oh, 100%.
you know what I mean? Like, it's just bold move.
Yeah, right.
Bold move.
I did love when they were like, hey, Chief, this guy's got over 500 followers. And it said 507 followers. And it's like, I have more followers than the Riddler.
So okay, this is another scary thought I have. It's not necessarily from like a follower perspective, but like as influencers, as we know, 500 followers isn't a large amount of people.
No.
What if Logan Paul is like, wait a second,
This gives me...
are you
Excellent.
telling me I could do that? Because Logan Paul has like what,
Millions.
quintuple the size of that.
He's like, all right, my millions of followers. What we're going to do is we're going to prank the world. We're all going to go streaking.
Yeah, I know.
KZI9 News. Millions have now gone streaking because of Logan Paul.
It's just, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like a movie like the Batman, in it's a really creepy setting, it's Gotham, it's all like fake, and then you throw in this very realistic potential of something totally crazy happening. It just, I was trying to go to sleep that night, I'm like, whew, I hope that doesn't happen.
The scare. What's really creepy about the scene also is that the entire movie he's like doing this voice and mask and everything,
yeah.
and then he starts up the video at the very end. He's like, hey guys. So I know that we're planning on this mass murder and destroying everything and taking a bunch of lives in front of Batman. But you know, when I get bored, I love to play Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, he's literally looks in the camera and he goes, so I'm gonna do another video soon. Hit the bell for notifications. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, please like, comment, subscribe. My Patreon, there's a bunch of riddles there, but I'm going to give you guys all the answers. Hashtag fuck Batman. He just turns off his camera. Chief, that's his last submission.
Yeah, it's literally like, it was so... it was just really well shot.
It was jarring. It was super jarring.
Yeah, that's a great word to say, yeah.
The thing I liked about it too was it was actually filmed like on someone's camera. It wasn't like in a lot of stuff that you see where it's like, whoa, that was filmed on someone's camera. with a camera that's millions of dollars. Like, it was actually, like,
yeah.
very amateur.
I think they did that a little bit too much because there was multiple scenes where the Riddler was talking from a camera, like when the dude drives into the funeral and he's got the phone on his hand.
TikTok!
Yeah, that was also from the phone, because I feel like what they did is, like, one of the really, really awesome scenes in The Dark Knight is when the Joker, like your joke that you had said, where you're like, hey Heath, where are we filming today? Oh, just you and me? In an abandoned factory?
Are you gonna kill me?
Heath? And that was such a good scene. And the first one, I was like, oh, sick, they brought it back, that was cool. And then they did it again.
And then they did it again.
And then they did it again. And it was like... And the actor did a great job who played Riddler.
Paul
but
Dano.
it was just one of those things where it's like I can only see so much of that. Like,
yeah, no, I think that the riddles would have just been effective enough. But I really did enjoy it. I thought it was way too long. But I really like when he first meets Oswald Cobblepot and the Catwoman, because there's like this beat in the background and it's raining and it's all this white light, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And that's kind of actually what I think, and so. Yeah, no, I don't. I would recommend it. It's a little too long. I think that at least 30 minutes could have been cut, but for the most part, it was fun.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Like I said before, I would definitely go see it. The big thing though going into it, and I know that I'm telling you to change your frame of mind before you go see it, but then I told you at the beginning of the video to not watch the video. It's just
change everything.
Yeah, let me just Doctor Strange for a moment.
Yeah, right. Hi, I'm Jared Gracie, and this is Disney Channel.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where you can't go into it with any expectations.
No.
Like, that's not a good thing to say about
No,
a movie. Like, if your bar's here, lower it.
You gotta lower the bar. It's different than any other Batman movie.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Yeah.
It's different than any other Batman movie, but I think that, if they come out with a sequel, I'm gonna go see it.
I would go see it. Yeah, I think the only thing that I think Robert Pattinson can improve on is his Bruce Wayne.
We talked about that in the car, and he's spot on about this.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, and I actually don't fully blame Robert Pattinson or like his method that he chose.
No.
A lot of the camera angles were just like fed to that. Like, picture this. Okay, close your eyes. It's 2010.
Okay, my eyes are closed.
Okay, you're in high school.
Yep.
Okay, you're walking down the hallway. Okay,
Yep.
and you see a guy. Okay, he has skinny jeans on.
Me if I weighed 100 pounds less.
Yep, he's got patches, like a bunch of buttons.
So your older brother.
Exactly. Yep. He has snake bites. In
Your
both
older brother?
legs. Yep. He's got really long, black, dark hair. Not original hair color. It's been dyed.
And your older brother.
And you're walking down the hallway. He has headphones in. And the only thing you hear is Green Day, Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Yeah.
And then you open your eyes and you go, wait a second, that's Bruce Wayne.
Right? No, that's a really good point. Yeah.
It just, like, there's
It's very emo.
There's specifically a scene where, like, Alfred's trying to talk to him, and all you see is he's like this, and he's like, leave me alone, Alfred. You don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy fuck. Please, God, don't be like this the whole movie.
When the bat signal comes up, he's putting on his guy liner. He's just going through it.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, let's get ready.
Yeah. He's like, Commissioner Gordon, I can't come out tonight. My Chemical Romance is in town at Gotham, so...
I gotta be front row. I think they're gonna play Helena or Black Parade, and I really gotta fucking see them.
Yeah.
I think when the sequel's announced or if it comes out, what I want to see is I do want to see Robert Pattinson as a stronger Bruce Wayne.
I want him to see him from an older perspective, because they didn't really do a good job of explaining like where in the like Batman trilogy, or not trilogy, but like history is he at? Like, did his parents recently die? Like, have they been dead for a while? Like, it seemed like he was like maybe mid-20s. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it seemed fresh. Because there's a scene where his parents' room is chained shut, so it clearly was not recently, but it also wasn't like a long time ago. So it was just kind of this weird like in between.
And Joker's also locked up in Arkham, so it's like, okay, so did he fight Joker previously?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those, I really do agree with what you're saying. I think
Yeah.
that maybe if they do a time skip in the next one, that
Yeah.
it'll be a lot smoother. But I'll look forward to it. I'll go see it.
Yeah, like if they time skip and they're like, oh, the Joker escaped Arkham, blah, 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 you have to get him. Like, I would go see that. But it's really hard to do a Batman movie, I feel like, because you have a plethora of villains to choose from. Like,
Yes.
I don't think I've seen a recent Poison Ivy or things
No,
like that,
no.
or like Iceman. Or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
his
Mr.
name is.
Freeze.
Mr. Freeze, yeah. And so, but they keep using this, like cast of villains that are just familiar to
Villains,
people.
Joker, Arthur Fleck, Joker, Arthur Fleck's Joker, Joker.
Yeah.
Ching, ching,
The Joker,
ching.
yeah, the Joker's really good, but you have so many other options to pick from,
You got
and
Calendar Man, you've got Hut. Okay.
the problem I think that had happened, like if I'm writing a Batman movie, I feel like they tried Bane, right?
Yes.
Kind of not like your A-list, not your A-team, and then the movie did good. I think I don't really know a bunch of
It
history
did
about
fine.
it.
It
Yeah,
did pretty well.
but I think people's reaction was kind of like, well,
I couldn't understand what he was saying.
it wasn't the Joker, so if
No.
we could just fucking fix that,
Like,
like.
we need the Joker. I don't
Right.
care if it's Jared Leto's. There needs
Yeah.
to be someone to make out.
But then the problem what they do is like, okay, so we don't have the Joker who's this powerhouse, right?
No.
So let's put in everyone. And then everyone's like, who the penguin flipper trick? I don't what's this?
Oswald,
Like,
what's the iceberg
Yeah, exactly.
lounge? The ice lounge?
Yeah.
I don't...
like they don't give any backstory. They're kind of just throw them in there. And so it's like, I feel like if you just gave enough time to a villain,
Yeah, I think so too.
it would be good. Yeah.
If I were to look forward to a villain for the next movie, Hush would be pretty cool. That's a really cool character if you know who that is. Mr. Freeze would be awesome with Bryan Cranston.
I would like for them to bring back Robin.
Robin definitely.
Not as a villain, obviously, but like
No.
in The Dark Knight Rises, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was supposed to come back as Robin,
That was pretty rough.
which kind of glad it didn't get picked up.
That's pretty rough.
But it was one of those things where it was
What's
like,
your name? Oh, Dick Grayson. Oh God. It's like, okay, all right.
it was this. I had the same reaction at the end of the Star Wars. For like, what's your name?
Ray Skywalker. That's fucking stupid.
I was waiting for it to go Ray Star Wars.
Yeah, or her go Ray.
Palpatine.
And then she just zaps the old lady into dust and then she just floats away. Better movie.
Well, I think that's a wrap.
On that note.
Yeah, on that note, I think we covered everything. I would love to hear everyone else's opinion. I think it's a really cool movie because I think people are kind of not necessarily split down the middle, but I know that there's people that really did like it. There's people that thought it was really shitty.
It did really well at the box office too.
It did, yeah, it did really good. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it from us. I don't think there's anything else I want to add. The one thing I do want to mention is we're still going to do the tier list here
Yep.
shortly. So make sure to be subscribed, hit the bell for notifications as we come out for that. We'll probably do it live action, so
Yep.
we'll kind of go through and talk about it. We might stream it live, who knows? But that's it from us.
That's it from us.
Sounds good.
All right.
Adios.
Adios.